Senate will come to order. I ask all present to please rise and join with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today's invocation will be offered by the Reverend Peter G. Young of the Mother Teresa community here in Albany. Father Young.
Thank you, Senator. Let us pray. Today on Cinco de Mayo, we know there are many celebrations that are world famous, and we see the senators here hard at work for the New York State citizens. We bless them and their diligence and for their very important dedication to handle the opportunities and the obstacles that come with being a citizen and being in the legislature. And we take and pray that these challenges of today on this calendar will be then successfully helping others that are in the need and those that are sick and suffering. We ask this in your name now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Friday, May 2nd, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The journal of Thursday, May 1st is read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports of state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Libous.
Senator Valesky, please.
Senator Valesky.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator Avella, I move that the following bill be discharged from its respective committee and be recommitted with instructions to strike the enacting clause, Senate Bill 6601.
It is so ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Valesky. Senator Libous.
On behalf of Senator Ball, on page 31, I offered the following amendments, calendar number 343, Senate Print 6613, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill shall retain its place on third reading.
And on behalf of Senator Young, on page 24, I offered the following amendments, calendar number 215, Senate Print 3378, ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill shall retain its place on third reading. Senator Libous.
Mr. President, before I call on Senator Marchione, I just want you and the other members to know that the proceedings will go much smoother now that Rebecca is back after giving birth to two beautiful twin baby girls. And she is back to give us the guidance that we need. So let's welcome her back to the chamber. Babies are beautiful. Mr. President, I believe that there's a previous adopted resolution by Senator Marchione, 4135. I believe it is at the desk. Could we have the resolution read in its entirety and call on Senator Marchione?
The resolution is at the desk. Senator Marchione's resolution will be read by the Secretary.
Legislative Resolution number 4135 by Senator Marchione, congratulating the student body of South Glens Falls High School upon the occasion of participating in its 37th annual South High Marathon Dance, benefiting numerous charities throughout its community. Whereas, it is the sense of this legislative body to recognize and pay tribute to those young people within the great Empire State who have made strong contributions to their communities and who serve as role models for their peers. And whereas, attendant to such concern in full accord with its long-standing traditions, this legislative body is justly proud to congratulate the student body of South Glens Falls High School upon the occasion of participating in its 37th annual South High Marathon Dance, March 7th and 8th, 2014, benefiting numerous charities throughout its community. And whereas, according to the South High Marathon Dance website, the dance participants have been raising money for local charities for 37 years. This year, over 800 students, more than 80% of the student body, participated in raising a record-setting $583,015 for 39 local recipients, which includes individuals, families, and local charities. And whereas the dance marathon was started in 1978, the age of turntables and disco. It has morphed into a high-tech event involving not only students but the community as a whole. And whereas, according to the Glens Falls Post-Star, each student was required to raise at least $150 in order to participate. Many raised more than $1,000. 4 students raised more than $10,000, and the elementary and middle school students together raised more than $44,000. And whereas fundraising efforts included a 50-50 raffle, auction items donated by local businesses, and students going door to door to collect pledges and online donations. And whereas under the able leadership of Superintendent Michael Patton and Principal Carla Biviano, as well as hundreds of volunteers from the community, this annual event brings together students from all grades. And whereas this dance marathon is different from the old endurance contests of the past, in which the last exhausted couple on the floor escapes the tap of on the shoulder to win. The teenage dancers get a couple of hours to sleep, plenty of food and drinks, and some other breaks from Friday night to Saturday night. There also are costume parades and opportunities to relax on the gym floor. And whereas Dancing for 24 Hours shows dedication and commitment, this annual event exemplifies the spirit of friends and neighbors helping neighbors, all of whom have come together for the past 37 years to benefit many worthy causes. And whereas the participating students truly exemplify the best potential which is inherent in our most precious resource, our youth. Together they have brought enduring honor to their school, their families, and their community through their latest achievements. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pauses deliberations in recognition of the significance of this meritorious achievement to congratulate the student body of South Glens Falls High School upon the occasion of participating in its 37th annual South High Marathon Dance, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to Superintendent Michael Patton and Principal Carla Biviano, South Glens Falls High School.
Senator Marchione.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purpose of speaking on my resolution recognizing, congratulating, and honoring the student body of the South Glens Falls High School upon their successful 37th annual South High Marathon Dance, which took place on March 7th through March 8th. You know, I had the honor of speaking at the 24-hour Marathon Dance closing ceremony, and I can tell you firsthand, it truly was a very impressive and wonderful event that benefited numerous charities throughout our community. More than 80% of the school, over 800 students, participated in this record-setting fundraiser. The students' hard work and extraordinary efforts clearly paid off. They raised over $583,015, a new record for them, for 39 local recipients, including individuals, families, and charities. So thanks to the dedication and tireless effort of the students, more than $500,000 was raised for charity. Over the last 36 years, more than $3.64 million has been raised, benefiting over 283 beneficiaries, not just within South Glens Falls, but surrounding communities as well. You know, don't let anyone ever say that young people today are apathetic or disinterested in making their communities a better place, because it's simply not true. South Glens Falls High School students prove that when they set their minds to it, young men and women can make a difference, a real difference, a positive difference that benefits those in need. These tremendous young men and women are New Yorkers of character and commitment. It's my privilege to salute their spirit and commend their energy. And I'm so thankful that some of them were able to join us today up in our visitors gallery. With us today in our Senate Visitors Gallery above, South Glens Falls High School students Katie Washburn, Bethany Warren, Joshua Deo, Patrick Fish, Devon Sweener, Nick Hutchins, Jody Sheldon, Tom Mayette, and Dan Albert, as well as the South Glens Falls Principal Carla Biviano, South Glens Falls School Superintendent Mike Patton. I would ask that my colleagues and I properly recognize, congratulate, and honor your charitable efforts and applaud your amazing stamina. Congratulations on a job well done.
Senator Little.
President, while I don't represent South Glens Falls, I'm born and raised in Glens Falls, and I have watched this marathon grow for the past 37 years. The students that do the South Glens Falls Marathon year in and year out set records. And when they reached $100,000 years ago, that was a record. And then it went up and up and up. But can you imagine a group of students, of the high school students, not the largest school in the state, to raise $500,000. This was another new record. And this marathon is nationally known. They have had attention and recognition from different places in the country throughout the years. I did not attend it this year, but I've attended it in the past, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It's not just a school event, it's a community event. And the businesses and the parents and the alumni and the faculty, everyone is there. Actually, if you're in South Glens Falls and you're not at the marathon, you must be sick. So they are all there. And I just want to join Senator Marchione in recognizing you, congratulating you, and really honoring you for your efforts. You've created memories for yourselves, but also for the people that you have recognized this year. Thank you very much.
Senator DeFrancisco.
First, I want to thank Senator Marchione for bringing these fine group of young people to us. And what she said really hit home to me, and that is oftentimes what's publicized and what is said about young people are not complimentary. Every time somebody does something wrong, it's a headline. Unfortunately, when wonderful things that are done like you've done, there's not enough congratulations, and I'm very happy. I'm from Syracuse, New York, and I don't think we've raised $500,000 at any charity, quite frankly, and that's an incredible amount of money. In fact, I helped raise money for a group in our community. It was a boxing match. I got punched in the face, and we only raised $25,000. So I need some advice from you guys as to a safer way to raise money in my community as well. So thank you, and you should be commended for your great work.
Thank you, Senator DeFrancisco. We want to welcome and congratulate South Glens Falls High School. Thank you very much for being with us today. As indicated, the resolution was adopted on March 25th of this year. Senator Libous.
I believe there's a previously adopted resolution by Senator Grisani, 4539 at the desk. Could we have the title read and call on Senator Grisani?
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 4539 by Senator Grisanti, commemorating the 44th anniversary of Earth Day on April 22nd, 2014.
Senator Grisanti.
Thank you, Mr. President. My fellow colleagues, we were not here on April 22nd, but hopefully each and every person in this room did something for the environment or did something in their community, whether it's recycling or e-recycling or something along those lines, doing a cleanup day for Earth Day. I said this before, it was back in 1970. It was the last time the Beatles produced an album. The song was Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Jimi Hendrix had passed away. And basically, with war going on, there was protest. That was going on back in 1970. But on April 22nd, 1970, Earth Day was born. I don't know if you guys knew that. And basically, it was born in the United States. It became international in 1990. And it's celebrated this past year in 192 countries. Earth Day is important to help raise awareness of the impact that we all have in our environment. This is being done worldwide with over 1 billion people celebrating. We have had ourselves many successes in our legislative conference, basically in chairing and taking care of Earth Day, from increasing EPF to legislation on safe SOPAs to TRIS and child products, getting mercury out of our systems with the mercury thermostat bill, renewable energy, brownfield program, which we must move forward this year. sewage right to know legislation, water withdrawal legislation, protecting our waters around this great state of ours, and the list goes on. So working together, we can, in our best interest and our chance to improve all the environmental laws for the state, to make it a cleaner and safer place to live and grow. I want to thank you, Mr. President, and let's just not make sure it's on April 22nd. Let's make sure every day is Earth Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Grisanti. As indicated, the resolution was adopted on April 22nd of this year. Senator Libous.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is a privilege resolution at the desk by Senator Peralta, 4823. May we have it title read only and call on Senator Peralta.
The Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 4823 by Senator Peralta, commemorating the celebration of Cinco de Mayo on May 5th, 2014.
Senator Peralta.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Cinco de Mayo commemoration of the Battle of Puebla transcends the victory of the greatly outnumbered Mexican army over the French armed forces. Cinco de Mayo has evolved into an American celebration of Mexican and Hispanic culture and heritage in this country. Cinco de Mayo is about the spirit and determination of our Mexican and Chicano brethren, about unity and patriotism, about strength of will and perseverance. It is a celebration of liberty and freedom, of the long-standing friendship between the United States and Mexico. From the arts and culture to politics and the economy, Mexico and Mexican Americans have made an indelible contribution. Mexican heritage and folklore are intertwined in the American fabric and Mexican-American experience. In every borough, in every county of our great state, Mexican Americans enrich our communities. In celebrating Cinco de Mayo, we recognize their myriad contributions and strengthen the innumerable ties that bind us. Cinco de Mayo is an occasion of great celebration in my district, home to a growing and increasingly involved Mexican-American community. The festivities in Queens include a celebration in Flushing Meadow Park, where tens of thousands of New Yorkers gather to enjoy Mexican food, song, and dance. This event, by the way, is a huge magnet for elected officials. Today, let us remember that the United States and Mexico are not simply neighbors bound by geography and history. We are two societies that are woven together by millions of family and friends and by common interests and a shared future. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and happy Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you, Senator Peralta, and happy Cinco de Mayo. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Even though it was... Mr. President, I think Senator would like to open it up for co-sponsorship, so as the policy goes, if for some reason someone does not want to go on the resolution, please let the desk know.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, please indicate at the desk. Senator Libous.
I believe there's a previously adopted resolution by Senator Montgomery, 4592. It is at the desk. I ask that the resolution be read in its entirety and call on Senator Montgomery.
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 4592 by Senator Montgomery, mourning the death of Anthony Marandino, distinguished citizen and devoted member of his community. Whereas, it is the custom of this legislative body to pay tribute to citizens of the state of New York whose life work and civic endeavor serve to enhance the quality of life in their communities in the great state of New York. And whereas Anthony Marandino, a retired New York State Police Department mounted unit officer, businessman, and member of the New York State Senate staff, passed away on Friday, February 21, 2014, at the age of 83. And whereas born and raised in Brooklyn, Anthony Marandino later moved to Sunnyside, New York, where he raised his family. In 1999, he relocated from Staten Island to Little Egg Harbor in New Jersey and settled in Monroe Township in 2005. And whereas Anthony Marandino served his country as a member of the United States Army during the Korean War, attaining the rank of sergeant. And whereas Anthony Marandino owned and operated A&A Auto School on Staten Island for more than 10 years. And whereas for 23 years, Anthony Marandino served as an officer in the esteemed NYPD Mounted Unit. Furthermore, he served for 13 years as a trusted aide and advisor to the ranking minority member of the New York State Senate Finance Committee, Donald Halpern, and then went on to work in a similar capacity for former State Senator Donald Halpern during his tenure as Commissioner of the New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal, and later employed his talents as an assistant to State Senate Minority Leader Martin Connor. And whereas Anthony Marandino has distinguished himself in his profession through his sincere dedication and substantial contributions to the welfare of his community and state. Wherever Anthony Marandino went, his career, his colleagues relied on him for his unwavering commitment to the job at hand, loyalty, and companionship. And whereas the patriarch of a large family, Anthony Marandino was a dedicated husband and father who enjoyed swimming, listening to music, and discussing current events, world history, and politics. He was known as a very charismatic man who was beloved by his family and many friends. And whereas predeceased by his wife of 50 years, the former Jacqueline Walker, Anthony Marandino is survived by his 5 daughters, Teresa, Deborah, Christy, Jody, and Lori, and his 2 sons, Tony and Ricky, as well as 16 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. And whereas armed with a humanistic spirit and imbued with a sense of compassion, an infectious laugh and sense of humor, Anthony Marandino leaves behind a legacy which will long endure the passage of time and will remain as a comforting memory to all he served and befriended. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pause its deliberations to mourn the death and celebrate the life of Anthony Marandino, distinguished citizen and devoted member of his community, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the family of Anthony Marandino.
Senator Montgomery.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to have our colleagues join each other in celebrating the life of this wonderful person. Most of us in this chamber do not know him, but a couple of us were here when Senator Donald Halpern was the chair of, or the ranking minority member of the Finance Committee on our side. And when I came here, the first senator to really take me under his tutorage was Senator Donald Halpern. We both being from Brooklyn, and he had an interest in making sure that I understood how this chamber worked and how business in this chamber would be run. And it was through him that I actually met Tony. I knew him only by Tony. He was a very, very loyal and even-mannered man who seemed to have no other interest than to making sure that Donald Halpern was served in any way that he could in his capacity as Donald Halpern's assistant. I shall never forget how this person was one of the people that I first met who showed me that it didn't make any difference if you were actually the member, that there was a level of respect and regard that he had for us and we had and Donald Halpern had for him, because it is not only us who carry the responsibility of making our jobs work, making this place work for our citizens, but it is in fact very, very dependent upon the staffs who serve us, who work for us, who work with us, and in very, very often, many ways, represent us. So I am pleased to join his family, and at the time that Tony was here with Donald Halpern, we also had Senator Joe Montalto, who is a former senator, but I believe he is here with us today. Welcome back home, Tony. And Joe, I'm sorry, Joe. And I want to also acknowledge that Tony's daughters are here with us today to celebrate, and perhaps his grandchildren and his son. The family is here, and thank you, family, for coming to join us and help us celebrate the life of the wonderful person that I am mourning today, and that is Tony Marandino. Thank you, Mr. President. And I invite my colleagues, even though they were not here and didn't know Tony, I invite them to sign on to, oh, the resolution was already passed. So thank you for allowing me to speak on it.
Thank you, Senator Montgomery. We welcome and express our condolences to the Maradino family. Welcome, Senator, back to the chamber. The resolution was adopted on April 29th, 2014. Senator Libous. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 62 by Senator Zeldin, Senate Print 1687, enact amend the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 65 by Senator Marcelino, Senate Print 1501, enact amend the Retirement Social Security Law.
Read. Lay it aside.
Calendar number 87 by Senator Robach, Senate Print 1977, enact amend the Social Services Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 145 by Senator Parker, Senate Print 955, enact amend the Mental Hygiene Law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 148 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 3065, enact amend the Insurance Law.
Last section. Excuse me? Lay it aside.
Calendar number 149 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 3066, enact amend the Insurance Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 161 by Senator Little, Senate Print 1361, enact amend the Agricultural Markets Law.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 209 by Senator Golden, Senate Print 2180, enact amend the Penal Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect on the 1st of November.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin.
Lay it aside for the day.
Calendar number 210 by Senator Golden, Senate Print 2237D, enact amend the Penal Law.
Lay it aside for the day.
Calendar number 239 by Senator Klein, Senate Print 2373A, enact amend the Insurance Law.
Last section.
Section 14, this act should take effect on the 180th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 250 by Senator Young, Senate Print 2049B, enact amend the Agricultural Markets Law.
Last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
Bill's passed.
Calendar number 269 by Senator Marcelino, Senate Print 1514, enact amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect on the 1st of November.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 273 by Senator Robach, Senate Print 3769, enact amend the Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect on the 30th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin.
Senator Rivera to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. To explain my vote, I have voted against this bill in the past, and I wanted to vote. I will be voting in the negative again. I wanted to quickly say that the concern that I have with this bill is that the fact that it establishes a rebuttable presumption of guilt if someone refuses to take a breathalyzer test. I have concerns about the ultimate legality of this bill and whether it violates the Fifth Amendment as well as the Fourth Amendment. And I think that we need to be very careful when we're putting bills like this together. They might actually, in this particular case, I will repeat again, creating a rebuttable presumption of guilt if someone just refuses to have a breathalyzer test, or they might not be able to have a breathalyzer test. There's a lot of concerns that I have about this bill, and I will be voting in the negative in this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Rivera to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
Ayes 56, nays 1. Senator Rivera recorded in the
The
negative.
bill is passed.
Calendar number 285 by Senator Golden, Senate Print 2094B, enact amend the Domestic Relations Law.
Last section.
Section 3, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 57.
Senator Golden to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, the bill allows for kinship care here in the state of New York, and it gives a situation where grandparents, aunts, uncles, and adult siblings of a child have opened their homes to their child and are caring for the child in their homes. It's estimated that 3% of the children here in the state of New York are being raised by non-parent relative. 25% of all children in foster care system are in kinship care. Currently, when a parent of a minor child has voluntarily relinquished custody of the child to the child's grandparents, and the child has resided with that grandparent for more than 2 years, the grandparents may petition the court and for custody of that child. We met with many of the grandparents and relatives of family members, and I was just with one recently where the grandmother had 4 sons of her daughter, and 2 of them had perished with the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and the grandson has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. To see the burden that's been placed on this family, but they did not care about the burden. They recognized that this was a calling for them to take care of these children, and tremendous doctor bills, tremendous sick time away from work, and being around these children and giving them the opportunity to have a real life. So this is a great bill. It helps kids that need those parents, those grandparents, those aunts, those uncles, those brothers, those sisters, to still have that family connection and to be brought up here in the state of New York as a family unit. So I vote aye, and I thank all of my colleagues here in the Senate for voting for this bill. This is truly a good bill and a good bill forward for many of the children across our state that need kinship care. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Golden to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 309 by Senator Bonisic, Senate Print 1886. An act to amend the education law.
Last section.
Section 2 of this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, DeFrancisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 336 by Senator Gallivan, Senate Print 91. An act to amend the environmental conservation law.
Lay it aside for the day.
Calendar number 346 by Senator Hannan, Senate Print 2937. An act to amend the real property tax law.
Last section.
Section 3 of this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, DeFrancisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 358 by Senator Ball, Senate Print 2559, act to amend the penal law.
Last section.
Section 2 of this act shall take effect on the 90th day.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, DeFrancisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Ayes, excuse me. In relation to calendar 358, ayes 57, nays 1. Senator Perkins recorded in the negative.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 364 by Senator Nozzolio, Senate Print 5307, act to amend the penal law.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 365 by Senator Farley, Senate Print 3832, an act to amend the banking law.
Last section.
Section 3, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, DeFrancisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 58.
Bills passed.
Calendar number 379 by Senator Young, Senate Print 5928, an act to amend the general municipal law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, DeFrancisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin. Ayes 58.
The bill is passed. Senator Libous, that completes the non-controversial reading of our calendar.
I believe we're going to go to the controversial reading at this time.
Secretary will ring the bell. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 65 by Senator Marcelino, Senate Print 1501, an act to amend the retirement Social Security law.
An explanation has been requested by Senator Squadron. Senator Marcelino.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's always a pleasure to discuss a bill with Senator Squadron. This legislation provides that retired person or retired superintendent, former superintendent, shall not be employed as a superintendent of schools for a school district for more than a year. Yes, I will.
Senator Marceno yields.
Thank you. So, just so I can understand how it changes current law, currently what's the process for someone who's retired to be approved to be a superintendent?
In many cases, a district, if their own existing superintendent leaves for whatever reason, either termination of contract or retirement or death, whatever, the district will go out and seek a search for a superintendent to replace. Sometimes that search goes on. Sometimes they hire an interim superintendent to come in. That superintendent may be someone who was retired from another district who will come in and work on a salaried basis without benefits of health, pension related, whatever, but they will keep them on and keep paying them. They will be collecting their own pension from their other school district, plus the salary from the existing school district.
All right. Thank you. The sponsor will continue to yield.
Sponsor will continue to yield. May I ask for some order in the chamber, please, so the members can hear each other?
And under this bill, what would be the procedure that would allow that to happen?
Under this bill will allow it to happen, but for only a year.
If the sponsor will continue to yield.
Sponsor yields.
Yes.
And the reason I ask is the sponsor's memo talks about, seems to talk about the fact that it's become overly common practice to hire interim superintendents year after year who are retired rather than completing a search for a permanent one. But it seems that the bill text makes it easier to do exactly that. So I'm just trying to understand which problem the bill is intended to solve.
I think I answered that question on the first statement by the first question you asked. The purpose of this bill, let me just deal with the reasoning behind it. I've had conversations with many heads of education schools at universities. They have a problem in placing their graduates, people who graduate with superintendent's licenses, principal's licenses, and so forth. This doesn't only occur in the superintendent's situation, it could occur for a principalship, for an assistant principalship, and so forth. The whole idea is to bring in fresh ideas. The educational system should be that of constant renewal. As you know, Senator, I'm a school teacher, taught school in the city of New York for 20 years. I believe in the educational system. I believe in its vibrancy. I believe that it needs new ideas and needs a constant flow of new people coming in. What is happening for reasons, in many cases, it's economic. It's cheaper to keep a retired person on without benefits than it is to hire someone new, even at a lower salary, but you have to pay them benefits, and then they become part of your retirement system. So the school districts, in some cases, are looking to save a buck, at the expense, I believe, in the creativity of their administrative staff. So in this situation, we're trying to shake things up a little bit. If the district needs more time, they can appeal to the superintendent at New York State Ed, Commissioner of Education, and basically say, we need more time. We made an honest search. We haven't been able to find someone who fits our bill, that fits what our needs. We need more time. And then it's up to the Commissioner of Education to make a determination as to whether or not to grant the waiver or not.
If the sponsor will continue to yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So the sponsors, just to understand the sponsor's view about the controller's role in the waiver to this point.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you first.
Just to understand the sponsor's position or understanding of the role the comptroller has been playing in granting or failing to grant the waiver currently. The sponsor view that the comptroller should grant fewer of these waivers?
Yes. We should eliminate the total bill. I have a bill that would eliminate piece of bad.
Senator, it's my understanding that the Commissioner of Education would grant the waiver.
Sponsor will continue to yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Sponsor's view that the commissioner grants the waiver too often.
Right now, there's no limit to the length of time a interim acting superintendent could be kept on. We're establishing that limit by this bill.
Sponsor yield for final question.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you.
Take another one if you want.
I appreciate that. I think you might owe me one. Not at all. However, under this bill, the commissioner would still be able to grant the waiver beyond the first year, just as they are today.
Yes.
Thank you. On the bill. Thank you very much, and I thank the sponsor for answering those questions. I think the problem with this bill is it seems to go after a challenge that's faced in districts around the state without really fully solving it. I think that to go from a required waiver to a one-year period and then to still allow the waiver at the back end seems not to fully address the issue. And I know that there is a real interest, both because of the property tax burden and because of the importance of public schools across the district, in making sure we really do encourage districts to hire the best and the brightest when it comes to superintendents, hire folks who are invested in their districts over time. And it is a worthy goal. Unfortunately, I think that in some ways it loosens, and in other ways it just furthers a system that seems to currently be problematic. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Squadron. Is there any other senator wishing to be heard? Seeing Senator Marcelino.
Yes. The reason why we give the waiver idea, we keep the waiver idea, is because some districts will incur and will require time. They may actually require more time. Some of the districts in remote communities, some of the districts that are small and may not be able to afford high salaries and the like, may need more time to get someone to come up there, be willing to take the time and take the salary. So they need time for a search. We're giving them that option. We're also encouraging them to bring in some new blood, to bring in some new ideas and fresh thought to the system. As I said at my opening remarks, education requires innovation. It requires fresh ideas, not old ideas. We must keep it changing, we must keep it current, and we must keep the thought fresh. That requires new people. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to vote aye.
Thank you, Senator Marcelino. Seeing and hearing no other senator wishes to be heard, debate is closed. Secretary will ring the bell. Senator Libous.
We're waiting for members to come back in so we can vote, and while we're doing that, I want to make note to the body that we are very honored this afternoon to have a former member and a former leader of this House back with us today, and Senator Marty Connor, and he is on the floor, and let's give him a big round of applause.
Senator Connor, welcome. Read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect on the 90th day.
Call roll.
Adabo, DeFrancisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin.
Ready? Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 65, those recorded in the negative are Senators Adabo, Breslin, Diaz, Galan, Farley, Gianaris, Gibson, Hoylman, Kennedy, Kruger, Latimer, Little, Montgomery, O'Brien, Peralta, Perkins, Rivera, Sanders, Serrano, Smith, Squadron, Stavisky, Stewart Cousins, and Katchik. Absent from voting, Senators Espaillat, Golden, Parker, and Sampson. Ayes 32, nays 24.
Bill's passed. Secretary will continue to read.
Calendar number 148 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 3065, an act amending the insurance law.
Senator Kruger has requested an explanation. Senator Seward, can I have some order in the House, please?
Marty.
Certainly, Mr. President. This legislation before us provides that the regulation governing the replacements of life insurance products is consistent to the extent possible with the replacements regulations that have been adopted by the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. Now, Regulation 60, which is a regulation by the Department of Financial Services that has been in place for some time, which is this deals with this part of the insurance law. This is regarding replacements that have been long considered to be one of the most burdensome New York regulations with which life insurers must comply. And also, it has been harmful to the consumers because the insurance consumer, just think about this, they are looking to replace an insurance policy or insurance product with another life insurance product, yet they, because of this Regulation 60, they run into a lengthy delay in being able to make that change. It's also important, it seems to me, that insurance laws and regulations should be as uniform and consistent as possible throughout the 50 states. Now, this legislation would ensure, in this case, that New York's regulations regarding replacement of insurance policies complies with the NAIC life insurance and annuities replacement model regulation. And that uniformity with the other states in the Union is good certainly for particularly our domestic life insurance companies and good for New York insurance consumers.
Thank you, Senator Seward. Senator Kruger?
Thank you. On the bill,
Senator
Mr.
Kruger, on the
President.
bill.
I appreciate the sponsor's explanation. And as he explained, this bill would have New York State insurance be consistent with other states in the life insurance industry. My problem with his bill is it actually weakens the stronger protections that exist in New York State. So right now, I don't know about anybody else. Have you tried to read insurance policies for yourself? Have you found yourself having a little confusion, not understanding what's covered, what's not covered, not even realizing that you don't have certain coverage until after something happens, and then and only then do you learn, oops, your insurance policy doesn't cover that. You just thought it did. I know I have a frustration with that. And my concern about this bill is it removes the requirement currently in New York State law that says if you're going to sell off an existing policy and replace it with a different policy or cancel the policy and replace it, right now in New York State law, you actually have to be given a side-by-side comparison what your current policy covers in life insurance and what the new policy would cover. And I agree that when I've spoken to Lyconi, that it's added work for the insurance companies and the brokers to do comparisons between an existing policy you may hold and the policy they want you to buy, that there's some work involved. But I actually say, that's okay, they're trying to get your business. They're trying to collect your money, and having a side-by-side comparison helps ensure that as a consumer, you know what the old policy was, what the new policy would be, and whether in fact it meets your needs as a consumer. So I recognize why the industry wants this law change, and I recognize there's an argument for having all states be consistent in policies on insurance. But for me, I'd rather side with the consumer rights and say if New York State makes it a little tougher to sell these policies by requiring they do side-by-side comparisons, that's worth our being out of the norm. I would hope the other 49 states might realize this is a good rule for all of them to incorporate, as opposed to our, so to speak, lowering the standards that we have for providing consumers with information that's relevant to them before they purchase life insurance. So I'm going to continue my voting no, Mr. President, and I'm going to hope that at some point in time when this bill might pass both houses and it gets before the governor and the Department of Financial Services, they'll also say, wait a second here, maybe there are ways to modernize, streamline, and make it easier for insurance companies and the brokers to figure out how to provide this information to people. Maybe in a world of computerization, there's a simpler way to do it. But I really like the fact that New York State requires that you get side-by-side comparisons of these policies, and I think that we would be actually harming consumers' rights if we took away this information. So I'll be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Breslin.
Mr. President, on the bill?
Senator Breslin on the bill.
I think that the NAIC, and its wisdom of all the commissioners of insurance, have gotten together and provided a model regulation which works. It still requires insurance people in New York State and elsewhere to deal honestly, directly, forthrightly with the consumer. And the side-by-side comparison in Regulation 60, along with its other components, the side-by-side, frequently if you've sold insurance to someone and wants to be replaced by another policy, you don't want to move quickly because you're losing something. So we found that over a period of years that there hasn't been that side-by-side comparison quickly done. And when it isn't quickly done, interest rates change, changes in, that affect dramatically the insurance product to the consumer. The consumer's not getting what they want. We have a tremendous insurance, the DFS in New York State does a tremendous job in policing the industry. In this case, Regulation 60 goes too far, and it would be moving into compliance with really national standards would be in the best interests of New York. And I fully support this legislation, and I think it will not only do much to enhance the position of the consumer, but at no expense to wrongdoing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Breslin. Is there any other senator wishing to be heard? Seeing none, hearing none, debate is closed. Secretary will ring the bell.
Get to their seats, we can have an accounting and we can move along a little bit faster. But when
Ask the members to please take
stop
their
other members, we don't know if they're really here because their seats are empty.
ask the members to please take their seats and to please remain close to the chamber for the votes that are before the House. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 180th day.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 148, those recorded in the negative are Senators Griffo, Hoylman, Kruger, Peralta, and Sanders. Absent from voting, Senators Espaillat, Golden, and Parker. Ayes 52, nays 5. Also Senator Squadron in the negative. Ayes 51, nays 6.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 161 by Senator Little, Senate Print 1361, enacted on the Agriculture and Markets Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, De Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 161, those recorded in the negative are Senators Adabo, Avella, Breslin, Diaz, Delan, Gianaris, Hoylman, Kennedy, Kruger, Montgomery, Peralta, Perkins, Rivera, Sampson, Sanders, Savino, Serrano, Smith, Squadron, Stavisky, Stewart Cousins, Katchik. Also Senator Latimer. Absent from voting, Senators Espaillat, Golden, and Parker. Ayes 34, nays 23.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 364 by Senator Nozzolio, Senate Print 5307, enacted on the penal law.
An explanation has been requested by Senator Squadron, Senator Nozzolio.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleagues, the bill before us today, S5307, is a measure that has a deep history and an important one. Emanating from this body a number of years ago, we decided that the correction officers of this state, who walk the toughest law enforcement beat in America, were subjected to heinous behavior where inmates, in effect, were using their bodily fluids as weapons. Those bodily fluids may have had a contagious disease, serious problems with them created by the use of a very difficult and unquestionably distasteful process to describe, but in effect, inmates using bodily fluids as weapons. We made that a felony. What the provision does today is expand that protection, the protection that we've given to our correction officers of the state. We're now trying to provide to those first responders, those who we all have a great deal of respect for and admiration, and in this state, particularly after September 11th, understood that our first responders are indeed the true heroes of America. This protection is for those heroes, and I'm hopeful that the measure will pass before us today.
Thank you, Senator Nozzolio. Senator Squadron?
Thank you. If the sponsor would yield.
Yes, Mr. President.
Senator Nozzolio yields.
Thank you very much. Just so that I can understand the bill better, I know that the sponsor spoke about corrections officers. Does this bill apply only to corrections officers or people in correctional facilities?
Mr. President, I think Mr. Senator Squadron must have heard my explanation about what this House had done previously. The protections provided correction officers are now to be provided under this statute that we are debating today to those who are, and let me list, a peace officer, a police officer, a court officer, an emergency medical technician, or a paramedic. Those are the types of occupations that we are trying to provide protections to, as we had provided those correction officers as well as other correctional personnel in laws passed by this House in the past.
Thank you for the clarification. If the sponsor would continue to yield.
Sponsor yields.
I notice in that list, and I'll ask about a couple of items in it, are peace officers. As the chair of codes, does the sponsor know how many bills are on simply tomorrow's codes agenda adding peace officer protection to folks who don't currently have it, just tomorrow's agenda alone?
Mr. President, I didn't catch the entire nature of Senator Squadron's question. Would you ask him respectfully to repeat it?
Senator Squadron, could you please repeat the question?
Forgive me. Thank you for the opportunity. I notice that this bill, as the sponsor says, extends protections from any sort of saliva, including potentially just in the act of yelling, to peace officers. And I wanted to know, just to get a sense of what that includes, how many bills on tomorrow's codes agenda alone, as the chair of the Codes Committee, extend peace officer protection to folks who don't currently have it?
Mr. President, I have not counted the number of bills on the agenda.
If the sponsor would continue to yield.
Yes, Mr. President.
Sponsor yields.
There are 12 on tomorrow's agenda, by the way. And does the sponsor know, or can the sponsor list, even just by category, all those who currently have peace officer protection and be protected against inadvertent saliva while in the act of attempting to harass or annoy under this bill? All of the 17 pages worth of peace officers in statute.
Mr. President, I'm not sure where Senator Squadron is trying to lead with this. If he would like to know, in effect, does this measure protect peace officers, the answer is absolutely yes. And that those who are designated peace officer status in this state are not second-class peace officers. They are first-class peace officers. They deserve that type of protection as decided by the nature of their position and designation by both houses of the legislature and the governor, that those individual professions should have peace officer status because they provide an important public protection service for the citizens of the state. I am getting very close to the resentful of the characterizations I hear Senator Squadron make in his attempt to debate the measure to somehow separate peace officers as a class that should in fact not receive the types of protections that we're trying to provide by this bill.
Yield. The sponsor, I think, misunderstands where I'm going here, and I apologize if there's any resentment being caused. The real reason I was asking the question about the extensive different categories of peace officers, 17 pages in statute, 12 bills on tomorrow's Codes Committee agenda alone, is whether the nature of any of the jobs that are carried out by these folks who are peace officers might cause them to come into contact with saliva or any of the other bodily fluids enumerated in the bill in a way that might change the sponsor's view of creating a felony from anyone being served by those peace officers in that way.
Mr. President, every peace officer in the state, as well as police officers, as well as other personnel enumerated in this bill, do not deserve to have someone intentionally attack them with their saliva or other bodily fluids. That regardless of the number that may be covered, regardless of the type of individual responsibilities as Senator Squadron is selecting peace officers, none of them deserve the types of heinous behavior that we're trying to prevent by this statute.
The sponsor will continue to yield.
Yes, Mr. President.
Sponsor yields.
I do think that a close look at the list of peace officers would be valuable, but let me go to another category listed here. Emergency medical technicians or paramedics are listed, and I know the sponsor just referred to heinous acts, and I certainly want to be clear: to spit on another individual or to inadvertently spit on another individual while screaming at them and therefore harassing them is wrong behavior. It's bad behavior. It may even be criminal behavior. We're talking about a felony behavior here, which is not simply behavior that shouldn't happen. It's behavior that leads to very serious penalties and permanent costs in people's lives, as felonies should. The question is, in all cases, for each of these 17 pages of folks, is spitting such a heinous act that it is, in fact, a felony in all cases? And I want to ask about emergency medical technicians and paramedics, which are included. It is the sponsor's intent that if an EMT or a paramedic were called to, for, say, an elderly person's home because a relative of that person was concerned about their well-being or ability to live on their own, if that person confused or feeling threatened, as is a case that has occurred in my own family, maybe in others, if during that sort of tense moment, that elderly person or person who didn't necessarily understand the context were to spit, and that spit were to land on the shoe of the EMT or the paramedic, it is the sponsor's intent that that elderly person would be a felon?
Mr. President, under the circumstances and fact pattern presented by Senator Squadron, I think the answer is very simple. Absolutely not. That there has to be a mens rea, there has to be an intention, and it's stated on lines 8, 9 of this measure that he or she causes, but in effect a person with, line 6 and 7, when with intent to harass, annoy, threaten, harm, or alarm. Again, with intent to harass, annoy, threaten, harm, or alarm. The specific elements of intent are certainly delineated by this proposal, by this statute, and it, I think, foursquare within those words would separate those who are trying to create harm versus those who are victims of an accident.
On the bill, Mr. President.
Senator Squadron on the bill.
You know, unfortunately, there's actually no intent beyond the one the sponsor just read, the intent to harass, annoy, threaten, harm, or alarm. And unfortunately, the instance I spoke about an elderly person who has an EMT or a paramedic called to their home who becomes confused or concerned about that, who lashes out in a way that certainly would not be preferable but could be the cause of simple confusion, would in fact have committed this felony as it's created, as would anyone else, someone who was having a paranoid episode of some sort and had medical care called in would be a felon. In fact, someone who was in the act of...
Senator Nozzolio, why do you rise?
Mr. President, will Senator Squadron yield?
Senator Squadron, do you yield?
Let me finish the sentence and then absolutely.
Upon completion of the sentence, Senator Nozzolio, he will yield. Senator Squadron, continue.
Thank you so much. In fact, if someone were engaged in lawful public protest, any number of the categories of peace officers here, and were chanting or yelling as part of that protest and were purposely irritating but not purposely spitting, and had inadvertent spit come out of their mouth, they would be committing a felony too. I will yield.
Senator Nozzolio, may I have some order in the chamber, please? Senator Nozzolio.
Mr. President, I fear that Senator Squadron might have not heard the answer to the question that he asked of me a few minutes ago. The question, if I recall, was whether this individual that he described in a fact pattern regarding a senior citizen would in fact be guilty of this crime. My response to him was absolutely not. It would require, as the fact pattern presented to us, showed clearly that the senior citizen in question had no intention of engaging in physical harm or intending any physical harm or threatening any physical harm to the particular first responder. I guess Senator Squadron did not hear the answer to that question because if he did, he certainly wouldn't be engaging in the type of colloquy that he's engaged in now. That's my question, Mr. President. Did Senator Squadron hear us?
Senator Squadron.
Thank you. I apologize. The sponsor wouldn't mind just concluding the question again.
Mr. President, it appears that Senator Squadron didn't hear us the first time or the second time, because if he heard us the first time or the second time, he would know that the fact pattern that he described clearly is outside the criminal conduct requirements suggested in this bill, where on lines 6 and 7, we talk about, the statute talks about the mens rea required for the element of this crime, which is intention to harass, annoy, threaten, or harm an individual. Without that mens rea, without that intention, in effect, it's not a crime. My question to Senator Squadron is, did you not hear that answer before? Because if you did, I am shocked that you engage in such a colloquy now.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification, and I think I was correct in there not really being an answerable question there, other than to say again, as I have before, having heard the answer to the question now once and then clarified and clarified again, which I appreciate greatly, that the circumstance I am describing has intent. I appreciate that the sponsor's intent is different, but let's be clear. The intent to harass, annoy, threaten, harm, or alarm. Someone who is confused but therefore lashes out has the intent to lash out. Someone who has dementia and therefore doesn't correctly understand the context of a situation but lashes out has an intent to lash out, has an intent to harass, annoy, threaten, or alarm, maybe not harm. And that is clearly not the sponsor's intent. The sponsor has gone out of his way to make clear that's not his intent, but the bill is the bill, and it is wildly broad. It is a bill that could go after anyone in this room if they become confused and try to defend themselves in a way they should not defend themselves, but would be turned into felons by doing so. Go after anyone's parent or grandparent in this room if they're ever in a circumstance where they don't understand the intent of an EMT or a paramedic who's called to help them. It also could undermine the ability and the right to protest legally by also could undermine the ability to protest legally and appropriately if an overzealous peace officer decided that someone who was raising their voice, who was protesting in a way that they found annoying or aggravating, also happened to inadvertently have some contact with their saliva or their sweat. Look, what the sponsor is talking about are circumstances in correctional facilities where behavior that is dangerous, that risks the lives of everyone in that facility is occurring. That is very different than the inadvertent contact along with the intent to harass, annoy, or harm that would be broadly written here. You know what this is? This is the bill that could create a felon out of anyone who ever comes into contact with any of a huge category of people in the state, create a felon out of anyone who is confused or concerned when they come into contact with just about anyone in uniform, including those who are there to help them. It's behavior that shouldn't happen, but it's not felony behavior when a senior citizen who's confused reacts to a paramedic that way. It's bad behavior, but it's not felony behavior. I also find it ironic that the sponsor is going so far to create felons out of so many categories of people, those who are legally and lawfully protesting or gathering, those who in their homes might become confused, and yet the sponsor and the Codes Committee did not consider something that really is dangerous, which is .50 caliber weapons, which are currently legal in this state, which can kill at distances of more than 2,000 yards, some of the most dangerous, most militarized weapons in the world, a lot more dangerous than a senior citizen's saliva. And yet, this House and the Sponsors Committee would not even consider the question as to whether .50 caliber weapons should be lawful in this state at the same time that anybody who comes into contact with just about anybody in uniform can become a felon if they get a little bit overexcited and a little saliva comes out of their mouth when it shouldn't, a little sweat comes into contact because they get a little bit closer than they should, all of which is bad behavior, much of which might even be misdemeanor behavior. But those folks are all going to be felons. Boom, boom, boom. And yet .50 caliber weapons in this state, we can't even have a conversation, a direct conversation about whether they're lawful. I think the priorities are wrong. I think the bill is overbroad, and I think the bill's statements and the sponsor's intent aren't aligned, and so I would urge the sponsor to pull the bill today and to work to tighten it up, and I will certainly be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there any other senator wishing to be heard? Senator Hoylman.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the bill.
Senator Hoylman on the bill.
Mr. President, my concern with this bill is that underlying it is a fundamental misconception about how HIV/AIDS is spread. It occurs to me, Mr. President, that the intent of the bill is to protect the health and well-being of our corrections officers, our peace officers, court officers, emergency medical technicians, and others. But, Mr. President, you can't contract HIV through spitting. It's disrespectful to spit, I admit, but you will not get AIDS or HIV from doing so. And last year in our Codes Committee meeting, that was one of the rationale presented for this, raising this bill to this Class C felony, this infraction to a Class C felony. And therefore, Mr. President, I'll be voting no because not only is it overbroad, but it sends the wrong public health message and buys into stereotypes and myths about HIV/AIDS that we shouldn't accept.
Seeing and hearing no other senator that wishes to be heard, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section. Secretary, again, will read the last section.
Section 2 of this act should take effect on the 1st of November.
Call the roll.
Adabo, D. Francisco, Klein, Libous, Skelos, Stewart, Cousins, Zeldin.
Announce the results.
Relation to calendar 364, those recorded in the negative are Senators Breslin,
Some order in the
Dilan,
chamber, please. Secretary will continue to announce the results.
Relation to calendar 364, those recorded in the negative are Senators Breslin, Dilan, Gianaris, Hoylman, Kruger, Montgomery, Perkins, Rivera, Sampson, Sanders, Serrano, Squadron, and Stavisky. Absent from voting, Senators Espaillat and Golden. Ayes 44, nays 13.
The bill is passed. Senator Libous, that completes the reading of the controversial calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business before the desk.
There being no further business, I move that the Senate adjourn till Tuesday, May 6th at 3 p.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, May 6th at 3 p.m. Senate adjourned.